What lives in your brain rent-free? An entire map of Doom from 1994. My son was playing a port of the game. I was doing whatever, and then I hear the elevator platform ride and I say, push the third panel on the right, and there was a hidden stash. 26 years later my brain kept that memory just in case I ever needed that stash again. All the dumb, cringe, stupid shit I have ever said or done. Sometimes it just pops into my consciousness and I just make a noise to snap out of the memory and try and push it back down. Toxoplasmosis. Sharks don't know camels exist. Constantly feeling the need to optimize myself and be more efficient. I'm really trying, okay. Cringe moments from my life. They could have happened years ago, but they still live in my head and still bring me embarrassment. Lyrics of songs I heard once in 1997. But remembering my own phone number? Hell no. Way too much information about the dodo bird. Have never cared about this bird, and yet I think about it all the time. Edit. Wow, thanks for all the upvotes. I'd also like to thank my third grade teacher and all the dodo birds for their sacrifices. Losing weight. All I can think about is my goal weight and it drives me crazy. The fact that Lil Wayne said real G's move in silence like lasagna. Money. Lack of it. The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. Had to learn in 4th grade. Still stuck in there. I'm 50 now. Firmly believe this is why I struggle to remember names. A relationship I've dreamed up with a good friend that will probably never happen. Reddit. I should be sleeping right now, but here we are. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell in #X200b. Edit. Fixed my grammar. A sperm whale's testicle weighs 1 ton. Heard it in a documentary like a long time ago and it's just been in there ever since. The Byzantine Empire never existed. Who we called the Byzantines today never called themselves that. Instead they called themselves the Roman Empire. Because of the time Rome fell, the capital was actually Constantinople. There was never an Eastern or Western Empire either. Those were just administrative divisions of the one empire located in Constantinople. This means that, technically, the Roman Empire never fell until 1453. However, when the Turks took over Constantinople, they did not call themselves the Ottoman Empire. Instead they called themselves the rulers of the Roman nation. So if you look at it from the Turkish perspective, the Roman Empire didn't fall until 1922. This lives rent-free in my head because in school I was taught something about how the Huns killed Rome and it turns out all that was crap. Constant reminders that I'm actually very depressed and anxious. Backstory, I was on meds that worked great, but they fucked with my libido so much that it was causing major issues with my GF, who I live and share a life with. So I decided I would be way more sad if I lost her while also having a limp dick than I would be just accepting my depression and anxiety as a part of life. Definitely not serotonin, I'll tell you that. Final Destination flashbacks whenever I see log-carrying trucks. Sound arguments that I could have made. The hatred for my bullies. No matter how hard I try, I can't get them out of my head. Self-loathing. The fact that a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. Each step I take I count. Once I reach 4, I start back at 1. I've done this for a long time. If I am walking with someone I don't. Why? It gets annoying. Call J.G. Wentworth. Certainly not a communicable mind-controlling alien parasite. No siree. Just healthy, normal, human brain meets here. Can't remember how this happened, but I can literally look at any country in the world's flag and tell you whose it is. It could be the reason I can't remember what I had for breakfast 2 days ago. That girl who I think slept with every dude in the wing of my dorm, this would be 7 guys, when I was a freshman except me. Now you that later think figuring out you were gay would prevent any lingering thoughts about this happening to you. But you would be wrong. The Pokemon type matchup chart. Literally everything. I have ADHD and depression, so my meds right now are only treating my depression because it's the more pressing issue. One of the meds I'm taking is working for my sadness, but now I'm bouncing off the walls physically and mentally. So yeah, everything I look at. I saw a man get hit by a train today, the same train I thought about jumping in front of a few years ago. Every time I blink, I see the engineer's face, realizing what had happened. I see what was left of the man that jumped. The fact that I saw what could have been my last moments play out in front of me is heavy beyond words. I have a feeling those images and sounds will be camping in my mind for a while. The man who jumped didn't even make a sound. He was so set in his action. Tinea solium. That time I was right, but had to let it go because there was no way to win without looking bad. Any song from Hamilton. It's been a non-stop musical in my head since my oldest daughter became obsessed with it. Porn addiction, game addiction, math, the subject, addiction. Not serotonin, apparently. That the brain named itself. Uptown Girl. She's been living in her uptown world. Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, Television North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe Rosenbergs, H-Bomb, Sugar Ray, Panmunjom Brando, The King and I, and The Catcher in the Rye, Eisenhower, Vaccine, England's Got a New Queen, Marciano, Liberace, Santayana, Goodbye, We Didn't Start the Fire, It Was Always Burning Since the World's Been Turning, We Didn't Start the Fire, No we didn't light it but we tried to fight it. The Bethel Cult in Reading, CA, and all those people who were convinced last year that a toddler was going to come back from the dead. People all over social media posted prophetic dreams, prophetic songs, prophetic dance, prophetic prophecies, prophetic hashtags and everything else that they just knew that little girl wasn't going to stay dead. Among several of their buzzwords they came up with for this was, Victorious Awakening. Fast forward 10 months, the child is still dead, by the way, but the real Victorious Awakening was the resurrection of people's faith. There's a spike in COVID cases at the cult's wannabe Hogwarts School of Miracles and Ministry or whatever, and this musician, preacher, prophet, wizard, whatever dude is doing worship concerts all over the country. Just mass gatherings of unmasked believers singing and dancing and praying in some sort of spiritual warfare, I guess. And they shame Christians who are not on board with it for not having enough faith. And #X200B. It really shouldn't bother me since I escaped charismania years ago, but it still kind of does. I know it's dumb, but it would also be entertaining if it weren't so horrifying. A constant aching sadness over the inevitability of death and loss. Also the songs from Hamilton. ANXIETY. The dumb things I did when I was younger. That I only remember late at night when I'm trying to sleep. How expensive a 3 to 5 bedroom home is in my region. Damn near a fucking $1 million. Not much. Evictions rotate on a constant basis. Song lyrics that speak to my soul and the images of the musicians that made the songs smiling because they all deserve to be happy. The game. And yeah, you just lost. Since pictures in a computer are just made up of pixels of different colors, we can actually create a photo of every event that occurred in history or everything that will happen by simply creating a program that will make photos, let's say 1920 by 1080 pixels, of every possible color combination and store it somewhere. Of course, most pictures will be gibberish, but there will also be pictures of you with 3 hands, 4 hands, or anything you could imagine. Obviously this requires almost unlimited hard disk space, power and time, but I am always wondering if one day it could happen. Write to me, Stick Stickly. P.O. Box 963. New York City, New York State. 10108. Da Vinci. Carcinization, which is one of the many attempts of nature to evolve a crab. The time in 3rd grade where my pants got caught on my snow pants, so when I took the snow pants off, it took my pants off with them. In front of my whole class. I fell over in the process, so I was just squirming around on the ground, pants around my ankles. I'm a full-grown adult and I think about this no less than once a week. Arguments that'll never happen. My best friend. He just moved out of his country to study. I constantly worry about him, but he always reassures me that everything is fine. He lives in my head rent-free, but he's a very good tenant. Every human being to ever exist, no matter how influential or historical this person was, has taken some huge and violent dumps that they cut through their legs in the first Saw movie instead of the chains. Dinosaurs probably had fur, but we make them hairless and ugly. I need to see a furry dinosaur. The Wii menu music. The fact that we actually have no idea if we're dead or alive right now. If this is a simulation, we aren't alive, just functioning. If we died, this is our brains reliving our lives and our perception of time is warped. If this is real life and we're really alive, how do we know for sure? Everything we experience comes through our brain, so how do we know for 100% certain? Like you can't even pinch yourself because your pain receptors are in the brain, so who's to say you didn't make yourself hurt for the sake of convincing yourself? How do we know we haven't all placebo-affected ourselves into thinking life is real? The man who abused me and all the lingering side effects. The entire human race could fit into the Grand Canyon. The old jingle, always fresh, always Tim Hortons, somebody in marketing got a raise for that one. The fact that the entire world mishandled COVID, so they had to cancel the Olympics. This was set to be the first Olympics with skateboarding. I've waited my entire life to see skateboarding get to the Olympics. I remember being a little kid in the 80s and watching the Olympics with my dad and thinking, why isn't skateboarding in the Olympics? Snowboarding finally made it, so now that skateboarding was set for its inaugural year, fucking COVID-19. Ain't that a bitch? Society, please, let's imagine something better and make it happen. Backstreet Boys lyrics. Recently, Bella Ciao thanks to La Casa de Papel. We are farmers bum badum bum bum bum. The fear that I'm too big for anyone to love. I used to be a size 8, and in 8 months I gained 80 pounds and eat nothing but crap. I'm stuck in this rut that I'm almost afraid to get out of. I want to feel better, but I'm scared to commit. The lyrics to Pain by 3 Days Grace. I don't even like the song, my friend just randomly sings it. The corrupt education system. Derivatives and integrals. Gender dysphoria. Wait, is this an appropriate answer? Insecurities. Lately it's the song Tongue Tied. Not the worst thing ever, lol. The names, stand abilities and backstories of every single JoJo's Bizarre Adventure character. First and last names of my elementary school classmates. CSLIBM 0240710D and CL114CO825061D. The numbers of my first library cards from 23 years ago at 2 different libraries. If I ever forgot my wallet, I memorized them so I could just quote them to the librarian. Now they are in there forever. Thanks for watching. See you later.